Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon if you're in Bangladesh, and welcome to the next online session of the 7th Asia Pacific Dialogue Platform. Thank you very much to the SUFAL project who are leading us today. They're going to be talking about their experience of financing anticipatory action in Bangladesh with some of the project experiences and lessons learned. And so I'd like to hand you over to Kazi, Rabeya, Ame, who's going to lead us in the conversation today.
Thank you very much, team and colleagues. Welcome, everyone. As you know, we'll be discussing on. Sorry, just a minute. My apologies. One of our panelists is getting some difficulties in joining the session. Just a minute.
Presentation.
Atiqul, could you please share the link with Netai, sir?
Yes, sure.
Or other panelists. Thank you very much. Apologies. Hello, everyone. This is Kazi Rabeya, and I'm working with CARE Bangladesh with the SUFAL Consortium. So today we will be presenting our experience on the financing for anticipatory action in Bangladesh. And some of you might have been aware of SUFAL project, which is scaling up flood forecast-based action and learning in Bangladesh. And this is a consortium project, and this is funded by European Union Humanitarian Aid, that is Atiqul. And under the leadership of CARE, in this consortium, we also have Concern Worldwide and RIMES as our technical consortium member. And as an implementation partner, we also have ESDO and SKS Foundation with us. I hope everyone can hear me. And can you see my screen?
Yes,
yes. Thank you very much. So first of all, I would try to get introduced with our, sorry. Okay. So as I was mentioning, SUFAL. SUFAL is a consortium project, and we have three major outcomes of the project, and those are based on the three building blocks of anticipatory action. As you know, the first one is the risk information or the forecast information. So in the screen, you can see our first outcome is impact-based forecast, early warning information with extended lead time, and tailored forecast information for targeted sectors are available and used by the stakeholders and communities. And our second outcome is focused on the second building block of the anticipatory action, which is early action. And here we are focusing that the communities and the institutions would be able to take timely early actions, and which would be also appropriate and inclusive in terms of flood, as we were focusing on the monsoon flood since beginning of our project. And our third outcome is focusing on the third building block of the anticipatory action, which is financing. Along with financing, we are also focusing on developing an early action protocol for the monsoon flood at the national level, where SUFAL as a consortium is taking an active lead for developing this early action protocol along with the government under the leadership of task force for anticipatory action in Bangladesh. And also to identify the financing mechanism, SUFAL project is doing different kind of activities at the different level, which I will describe later in my project. And you can see that our project is based on the northern region of the country. So in the northeastern part, we are focusing, we are working at Kurigram district. Gaibangha district, Bogura district, and the Jamalpur district, which is under Jamuna Brahmaputra River basin. And also, we are extending our work towards the northeastern part of the country, where we are focusing on Sylhet, Sunamganj, and Netrokona. There, we will be focusing on flash flood anticipatory action concept. Now I will take the opportunity to get a brief introduction of our participants today. So, you can see a barcode link in your screen. You can go through the scanning this barcode, or you can also use the link mentioned in the chat box. I'll share again. So please click on the link mentioned in the chat box, and you will see the screen. Can anyone enter this? Yes, I can see the response from the people. So which organization you are representing? Are you from any UN organization? Are you from any INGO or NGO? Are you from government? Are you from academia or other organization? So we can see 8 of our participants are from different INGOs and NGOs, and we have 3 from other organizations. I guess our Netai sir and Atiq sir, you can represent the government. And also, Sweet Bhai, you are also part of the government representation. So I can see we have 34 people with us, and among them, 13 has been able to show their representation in the Mentimeter. I will ask others as well to introduce themselves through the Mentimeter link. If anyone faces any difficulties, please let us know so that we can help you with the link or support. Yes, thank you very much. I will not take much time here. So I'll go to the next slide of this Mentimeter. It would be great if you can submit your answer here as well. Oh, I guess people has already started sharing their concept on the pre-financing for anticipatory action. So our next question to you, I mean our online audience, was what are the pre-financing mechanism for anticipatory action you are aware of? So we have provided 4 options. First one is SARF, second one is DERP, and third one is Start Ready, and fourth one is Other, if you know any other sources except these 3. So we can see the response. 5 people are aware of SARF and DERP. 6 people are aware of Start Ready, and also, well, again, 6 people for SARF. 8 people for Start Ready, and others 4. Should we wait for 2-3 minutes on this slide, or should we continue? Colleagues online, are you still filling up the Mentimeter?
It's loud and clear. Continue,
Okay.
please.
Okay, thank you very much. So I can see people voted for different funding sources. 6 are very much aware of SARF, 5 are very much aware of DEP, 9 are, sorry, the number is increasing again. So I think we will share this result later on in our session. So I'll go back to my presentation again. So yes, as you can see that we have also identified three of the major pre-financing source for anticipatory action in our country. First one is JAID, which is administered by International Federation for Red Cross and Red Crescent Society. And also in Bangladesh, Bangladesh Red Cross and Red Crescent Society can access to this fund. And this has been implemented, until today, this has been implemented for flood and cyclones. For flood, it has been implemented for cash package, cash support. And for cyclone, some other anticipatory action has been implemented through this funding. And second one is SARF, which is Central Emergency Fund. This is administered by UN OCHA and UNRCO. And the UN organization can only have access to this funding opportunities. But if the INGOs or any other organizations are planning to work as a partner for the UN organization, they can also have access to this funding opportunities. So until now, this has been activated for flood, and WFP has access to this fund for cash support. FAO has provided livestock fodder, and UNFPA has provided dignity kit from this funding. Also, we have Start Fund Bangladesh, which is under Start Ready, and this is administered by Start Fund Bangladesh, and also local and international NGOs can have access to this funding. And here you can see that most of these pre-financing source, also I want to mention that ECO also have a very good amount of funding for anticipatory action, and they are financing this anticipatory action funding for different piloting projects for different kind of anticipatory action piloting, where we can pilot and develop a proof model to do the advocacy with the government, mostly for the evidence generation. So, and this SUFAL project is also funded by ECO. So in line with this funding opportunity, you have seen that if government want to execute any kind of anticipatory action approach, or they want to activate their trigger mechanism, there is no such pre-financing mechanism existing where government can have access to finance for this anticipatory action, anticipatory actions. But in our DRR vision of our country, it has been mentioned that our vision is to reduce the vulnerability of the people, especially the poor and disadvantaged, who are affected by any kind of natural or human-made disaster. And also it have to be in place an efficient emergency response management system capable for handling large-scale disaster. Also, our DRM mission has been focused on the paradigm shift from a conventional response and relief practice to a more comprehensive risk reduction culture and to promote food security. So we are focusing on the DRR mission and focusing on the paradigm shift part of our DRR mission and vision. So to mention about the regulatory framework, we had our government has introduced the Standing Order of Disaster in 1997, and this has been revised in 2019, where the focus-based action or the focus-based financing concept has been included in the revised version. Also, we have DM Act, Disaster Management Act 2012 in place. And also we have the Disaster Management Policy 2015 in place. Along with that, we also have the National Plan for Disaster Management 2021 to 2025 in place, where which are the functional instrument for making this anticipatory action activated and ensuring the financing for this anticipatory action. Also, as I mentioned earlier, that the government has included this focus-based financing and action task force in the Standing Order of Disaster, revised Standing Order of Disaster. which is mentioned in section 3.1.16. Also in April 2021, government has accepted the disaster management fund rule that clearly articulates that the fund shall be utilized before, during, and immediately after the disaster for specific and general work, which has been mentioned in section 10/1. Also, various activities and programs on focus-based early action has been proposed in the improvement of the early warning system in National Plan for Disaster Management 2021 to 2025. So you see, we have the policy instrument in place. Just we had to identify the specific sections and the specific acts mentioning the anticipatory action financing part and do the advocacy with the government for implementing the anticipatory action by their own financing. So SUFAL has SUFAL has developed its early action matrix, and it has been tested and implemented in 2020 monsoon fully. And after that, we have done the evaluation, and on that evaluation, we have seen that due to taking early actions, people were able to reduce 18% after flood loan dependency. Also, they were able to save 367 euro in the livestock sector. In the fisheries sector, it was 236 euro per household, and overall per household, people were able to save 226 euro. So you can see the impact of anticipatory action has been taken in the monsoon flood areas of Bangladesh. Also, due to different inclusive intervention taken by the project, 60% more women felt safe at the shelter centers. So to identify the financing for the anticipatory action, especially for the government, we have tried to, we have commenced a study for looking into the financing windows available at the different legal instruments of the country. The objective of the study was to map out various sources of financing for focus-based financing and action. We call it anticipatory action now, and also examine the policy framework and the procedures to access to those fundings. So we have found out that the local administration, all the local government institution, they already doing some kind of early action by their own funding, by their own capability. So in the early warning part, FFWC, the Flood Forecasting and Early Warning Center, they were providing 10 days early warning, referring water level and flood extent. Also, warning messages were disseminated by the local administration with the assistance of non-government organizations. And some kind of early actions like meeting, coordination, dissemination of forecast and early warning through different local channels, evacuation and reallocation of the most vulnerable people, getting shelter prepared, dry food, drinking water, medicine support provided to the shelter centers, also the repairment of road, embankment, livestock relocation, and fodder were also provided by the local government. So these fundings were mostly allocated from the district commissioner office, and this has been provided through the sub-district level to the lower sub-district level. Though there was no definite source of financing mentioned in the finance code. Also, as you have seen that we are more focusing on the sectoral approach. So we have tried to identify what are the sectoral intervention as anticipatory action are in place. So in agriculture, livestock, and fisheries sector, we have seen that the dissemination of early warning to the farmers was also available. Early crop harvesting, early floating seedbed production, that was also available. Evacuation and reallocation of livestock was available, and fish pond netting was also available at that time. So again, there was no definite funding of sources, but there were some occasional project fund, also some non-government organizational fund. Also, you can see that in 2020 monsoon, FAO supported fodder and the vaccination. And also our livestock department has been stockpiled the vaccination, especially for the disaster time. And regarding the inclusion perspective, if we see the women, children, and other protection sector, the early warning, dissemination, and awareness raising through courier session was in place. Sanitary kit distribution was in place. Provision for ambulance service for the pregnant women who are in advanced stage was there. Special care for the adolescent girl was there. And again, the provision on the annual budget for awareness raising was there. And sanitary napkin was provided by some private sector organization, and different non-government organization provided different kind of sanitary or dignity kit support. In education, drinking water and hygiene sector, we have seen that the schools were used as a temporary shelter centers because in the cyclone prone area, government has established a lot of cyclone shelters, but for the flood, there are very few flood shelters were in place, which is improving because government has started constructing the flood shelters at different districts and flood-prone areas in two-phase approach. So they are now improving, but there are still huge need of flood shelters. So basically, the educational institutions are used as temporary flood shelter in our country, and the drinking water and the distribution of water purification tablet and at the shelter centers and the evacuation point was done earlier as well. Again, there was no definite funding source, but that was mostly done by the local sub-district level government authorities. Today we will be discussing the source of funding and our experience, how the funding can be accessed at different level, and we are also focusing on the localized approach. So first of all, we have focused on the annual development plan and the budget, which is mostly done at the lower sub-district level, including the sub-district level. So you can see here, you can see a picture of the planning of one of our working union, which is Chor Paket Doho, placed in Jamalpur district. So you can see that here is, sorry, it's in Bangla because all our government documents are in Bangla. So here you can see that for the disaster management and relief, there is a special allocation of 200,000 BDT, which is almost 2,000 almost 2,000 euro. So this has been allocated also for the anticipatory action purpose, like the forecast dissemination, shelter repair maintenance, evacuation support, repairment of road culvert, latrine tube well maintenance, and there is some provision of relief support, which is almost 5,500 euro. So through our project intervention, we were able to mobilize 25,768 euro, which is endorsed through our 17 working union and Bojela annual development plan and budget. So this is the second tier, where we are more focusing on the disaster management fund, which is allocated at the national and the district level. For this fund, this is supposed to be mobilized by the local district commissioner, and they are supposed to mobilize this source of funding from different philanthropic approach or from different local contributions. And this fund would be distributed through the disaster management committees who are in place. So this proposal would be based on different proposals would be developed by the lower sub-district level disaster management committees and would be verified or supervised by the sub-district union sub-district disaster management committees and would be forwarded to the district committee. And district committee has the authority for allocating the fund along, after verifying the proposal from the district management, disaster management committees. So if the project budget is within 8,000 euro, district authority has the authority for approving that project. And if that is over 8,000 euro, that has to go to the national level committee. So you see, there are options for mobilizing and distributing the fund even at the local level. So this is how we are trying to mobilize the funding for anticipatory action in a localized approach. And for the national level funding, we started to look into the social protection scheme, where we can link anticipatory action to different social protection schemes. So we have tried to do the policy evaluation, we have done the field mapping, and through this, we have identified 5 potential social protection schemes, which are GR, EGPP, old age allowance, widow allowance, and disability allowance. First 2 is under Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, and second, last 3 are under Ministry of Social Welfare. So we started working to mobilize the 2 schemes under Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief. So we have shared the findings with the department and the ministry, and based on that, we have targeted GR to be piloted in this 2023 monsoon, if God forbids flood is there. And we have designed this concept note, and this has been submitted to the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, which is under review process. If that is approved, we in this monsoon, if God forbids flood is happening, we will be able to pilot this GR scheme as anticipatory action. So based on that, we will be doing our advocacy with the government. If the learning is better, we will try to advocate with the government so that this GR, even basically the GR scheme has been designed to be distributed after the disaster, if someone is affected by the disaster. So we are advocating this to be distributed as anticipatory action based on the impact and the vulnerability. So this is how our advocacy for linking the social protection scheme with the anticipatory action is ongoing. For this, we have developed 2 documents. One is Dex review for the global evidence and learning, and the second is option paper, which is readily available in the anticipation hub page of SUFAL, also in the relief web. So in the second document, in the option paper, we have proposed a phase-based approach, which any organization, if they are willing to work for piloting the anticipatory, piloting the shock response and social protection and link it with the anticipatory action, can follow this approach. So in the first phase, we have proposed that the system strengthening of routine social protection system and evidence generation. And in the phase 2, we have proposed system strengthening and government pilots. So the first one would be more focused on the development organization to do the piloting and generate the evidence and do the advocacy. And in phase 2, government would have their own funded piloting projects. And in phase 3, the institutionalization would be happening by integrating the solution. So you see, we have policies, acts, and funds readily available. Just we have to translate it into action. So for disseminating the forecast and the early warning, we have 1090, which is IVR, and anyone can dial and have access to the forecast information anytime, anywhere from the country. But to reach to the more hard to reach area, voice message or this kind of easy means are also proposed. The DM fund, when we were doing the study, a 10% allocation for this funding was recommended from different administrative level, and use of social safety net, as I mentioned, what we are trying to do, and at the Upazila and union wise allocation for different early actions like evacuation of the risk people, livestock, assets, shelter preparation, dry food, drinking water, and sanitary kits were also proposed in the study. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much for your patience, and thank you for your input in this study, and those who were involved with this financing study and the SRSP piloting study and also the DM fund study. And now I will move into our three panelists. First, I will go to our first panelist, who is the chairman of Saghata Union of Gaibangha district. He will be sharing with us how his experience of working with SUFAL project in allocating the funding for anticipatory action in the annual development plan or budget was. So over to you, Mosharof Sweet Bhai. You can share your experience with us. No worries, you can continue with Bangla. We are here for the translation. Sweet Bhai, are you there?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
আমি মোহাম্মদ মোশাররফ হোসেন সিট ৩ নং সাগাটা ইউনিয়ন পরিষদ সাগাটা গাইবান্ধা। শোনা যাচ্ছে? আপা শোনা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, Sweet Bhai শোনা যাচ্ছে, আপনি বলেন প্লিজ।
আমার পরিচয়টা শুনতে পারছেন?
জি, সুইট ভাই আপনি আপনার পরিচয় দিয়েই শুরু করেন। সুইট ভাই আমরা একটু সময় নিব আপনার কাছ থেকে। আমরা আগে একটু নিতাই স্যারের কাছ থেকে শুনে আসবো। স্যারের আসলে আজকে একটা পরীক্ষা আছে, তো would you please excuse us for a few minutes? We can come to you after him.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So as I was mentioning in my presentation that we are focusing on shock responsive social protection, 2 schemes under Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, and these 2 schemes are yet to be piloted, and the evidence are yet to be gathered, and the advocacy would be done after that. So we will hear from our second panelist, Netai Sarker. He is working as a director of MIM at Department of Disaster Management. So over to you, Netai sir. Sir, can you hear us? Sir, can you hear us?
Experts, learned participants, very good afternoon to you all. As we already have learned that standing orders on disaster 2019 made a provision of a
Sir,
national.
can you please turn on your camera? Sorry to interrupt you, sir. We want to see you.
No,
as
it's
well.
okay. Okay.
Thank you very much.
As we already have learned that standing orders on disaster 2019 made a provision of a national task force on forecast-based financing or forecast-based action. It's an opportunity to develop the early action protocol, financing mechanisms, and early action triggers in anticipation of disasters, allowing for the adoption of shock responsive social protection in alignment with advancements in disaster management in the country. Several pieces of literature highlight the potential benefits of linking SRSP to FBA, particularly to the vulnerable groups. the poorest populations with low coping capacity living in flood-prone areas are most affected, making aligning
Sir, I guess you are having.
for work,
Sir, we
FFW,
lost you for some time.
livestock fooder, or employment generation program for the poorest, most of which are utilized for repairs to access roads and key infrastructure affected by disasters or regular maintenance works. In terms of programmatic implementation, scaling up social safety net programs when a flood is anticipated can be achieved through increasing support to each beneficiary, increasing the number of beneficiaries, or delivering support to existing beneficiaries at the start of the month when a flood is expected. Lessons learned indicate that preparing beneficiary databases ahead of time significantly reduces the time required to provide support to households. However, challenges exist, such as limited access to mobile financial services among households, particularly for women who often lack access to mobile phones or necessary documentation. Addressing these challenges requires resources from both households and implementing agencies to ensure the timely delivery of funds. While providing support to households is crucial, it is also important to ensure that other infrastructure and support systems are in place and accessible to the most vulnerable. Increasing awareness and building the skills of communities on how to best utilize cash assistance ahead of floods can enhance their ability to cope with the impacts. While the focus-based action approach helps reduce the potential impacts of floods, it doesn't eliminate the need for response and recovery efforts. Targeting the most vulnerable populations with one-time support can improve their ability to cope, but additional support may still be necessary for response and long-term recovery after a disaster occurs. We are working on to determine an agreed threshold for trigger and develop a common early action protocol for flood, flash flood, cyclone, and landslide. We expect it will give us opportunity and effective tool for anticipatory action in the country. Learned audience, we also have been implementing a project for developing local flood early warning and designation system. This project works for 3 flood-prone districts like Kurigram, Gaibangha, and Jamalpur, which will provide location-specific inundation forecasting. It also creates an opportunity for impact-based forecasting as well as anticipatory action in the country. Thank you very much. Thank you all for questions here. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. As you are leaving, I would like to invite our audience if any of them have any question for you. Audience, over to you if you have any question for our government colleague, Netai Chandra Sarker, sir. Anyone from the audience? I guess, sir, no one is yet have any question for you. If as you are available until 4, I guess if you have any question in the chat box, I will refer to you and you can come up with your response. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. I will go back.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. So I'll go back to Sweet Bhai, Mosharof Hossain Sweet, chairman of Saghata Union from Gaibangha district.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আপনার শোনা যায়?
শোনা যাচ্ছে ভাই, বলেন প্লিজ।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম, আমি মোহাম্মদ মোশাররফ হোসেন সুইট, 3 নং সাগাটা ইউনিয়ন পরিষদ, সাগাটা গাইবান্ধা। বাংলাদেশ দুর্যোগ ব্যবস্থাপনা কমিটির ইউনিয়ন পর্যায়ে যে ইউনিয়ন দুর্যোগ ব্যবস্থাপনা কমিটির জনগণের সাথে ঘনিষ্ঠভাবে কাজ করে আসছে এবং প্রশাসনিকভাবে সেতু বান্ধব সাহায্য করে। বাংলাদেশের উত্তর অঞ্চলে গাইবান্ধা জেলার সাগাটা উপজেলার সাগাটা ইউনিয়ন অবহেলিত নদী ভাঙন, বন্যা প্রতি বছরই বন্যা হয়ে আসে। এগুলো নদীর তীরে অবস্থিত, ফলে ইউনিয়ন পর্যায়ে প্লাবিত বন্যায় অনেক সময় পানি প্লাবিত হয়ে যায়, অনেক যানমালের ক্ষয়ক্ষতি হয়ে যায়। সরকারি বেসরকারি ভাবে আমাদেরকে কার্যক্রম, যে সরকারি বেসরকারি কার্যক্রম গ্রহণ করা হয় তা সব মূলতই দুর্যোগ পরে করে আর কি, মানে অগ্রিম কিছু হয় না। এমনকি দুর্যোগ ব্যবস্থাপনায় অধিদপ্তরে যেসব মানসিক সহায়তা করা হয় তা চাহিদা ভিত্তিক, শুধুমাত্র পরিবর্তন মানে বন্যার পরবর্তীতে। তা আমরা ইউনিয়ন বার্ষিক প্রক্রিয়ায় যে মিটিং আমরা করি আর কি, সেই মিটিং এর মাধ্যমে একটু আমরা বাজেট করি। এটা হলো সুফলে একটা মিটিং এর আয়োজন করে দেয় আর কি, স্কেচ ফাউন্ডেশনে। সুফল প্রজেক্টের সিআরএ মিটিং এ আমরা কিছু বাজেট রাখি আর কি, প্রায় 20,000 ইউরো। এবার রেখেছি 20,000 ইউরো এর আগে 21-22 অর্থতে। ইতিমধ্যে বন্যায় যে প্লাবিত যে অবস্থা, কিছু এই কিছু টাকা রাখার পরিপ্রেক্ষিতে এখানে মোট টাকার মধ্যে কিন্তু 18% আমাদের যে বাজেট আছে, বাজেটের পাশে 18% রাখি, বন্যার পূর্বেই রাখি। কিন্তু এখানে কিছু রাস্তাঘাট, তারপর সাঁকো নির্মাণ, কিছু নদী ভাঙ্গা পরিবারকে টানা নৌকাতে আনা, কিছু আশ্রয় কেন্দ্র। এখানে বন্যার সময় যখন বন্যা এসে যায়, একদম পুরো বন্যা, তখন কিন্তু কিছু আশ্রয় কেন্দ্রতে লেট্রিন, টিউবওয়েল, তারপর ফিনিশিং পাউডার, এগুলো কিন্তু সুফল প্রজেক্ট কিছুটা সহযোগিতা করে আমাদের স্কেচ ফাউন্ডেশন। তারপর আমাদের নিজস্ব অর্থায়নে আছে কিছু, আমরা টিআর কাপিকা হাট বাজারে কিছু টাকা, আমাদের নিজস্ব অর্থায়ন এবং ট্যাক্সের কিছু টাকা আমরা কিন্তু রাখি। এগুলো দেখুন যে এগুলো কাজ করি পূর্বে, কিন্তু এখন তো কার্যক্রম যেগুলা হয় এগুলো তো পূর্বে করা উচিত, কিন্তু আমরা তো করি মূলত এনে পরে। এতে কিন্তু আমাদের যেখানে 10 টাকাতে কাজ হবে তখন সেখানে কিন্তু পরবর্তী কাজ করলে সেখানে কিন্তু 100 টাকা যাবে। এছাড়া এখানে বন্যা পূর্বাভাসের সময় কিন্তু আপনাদের সুফলের মাধ্যমে আমরা মোবাইলে জানতে পারি যে বন্যা আজকে এত সেন্টিমিটার হচ্ছে, এরকম বৃদ্ধি হচ্ছে, এগুলো জানা যায়। জানা যাওয়ার পরিপ্রেক্ষিতে প্রতিটা প্রায় মোবাইলে কিন্তু শোনা যায়। এছাড়া আমরা স্কেচ একটা নৌকা আমার থেকে দিয়ে দেয়, এখানে ফুয়েল খরচ থেকে শুরু করে এটা আমরা করি। সারা রাত এখানকার বন্যা এলাকার একটা অবলম্বন হচ্ছে একটা গরু, সেই গরু এই বন্যার সময় কিন্তু চুরি ডাকাতি হয়ে যেত। চুরি ডাকাতি হওয়ার কারণে তাকে রক্ষার কারণে আমরা কিন্তু নিরাপত্তা দিই তাদেরকে। সাগাটা ইউনিয়ন পরিষদ নিরাপত্তা দেয়, থানা পুলিশ সহকারে, এসকেস একটা নৌকা দেয়, এবং আমরা কিন্তু নিজ অর্থায়নে দিই। এসকেসের নির্বাহী প্রধান কিছু অর্থ দেয় আমাদেরকে, আমরা নিরাপত্তা, অনেক ব্যয়বহুল খরচ। ফলে আমাদের কিন্তু এই অনেক সময় এই যে এবারকার আমাদের একটা 53টি পরিবার আমাদের কিন্তু নদী ভাঙনে, হঠাৎ করে নদী ভাঙনে কিন্তু ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হয়েছে। আমি 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 বলতে চাই আপনাদেরকে একটা কথা, যে বন্যার আগে যদি কিছু ব্যবস্থা করা যায় অর্থনৈতিক বা যে কোনো কিছু যদি, তাহলে হয়তো বা এই এলাকা অঞ্চলের লোকজন একটু আহ ক্ষতি ক্ষতি থেকে একটু মুক্ত পাবে। কিন্তু বন্যার পরে যদি করি তাহলে কিন্তু এটা ক্ষতি হবে, আর বেশি হয়। ওটা তো এখন 10 টাকাতে হলে তখন তো 200 টাকাতেও হবে না। তাই আমি চাচ্ছি যে একটু অগ্রিম কিছু কাজ করা যায় নাকি। অগ্রিম কাজ করতে পারলে আমরা একটু সবাই মিলে একটু ভালো থাকতে পারবো। তাই আমি আপনাদের কাছে হচ্ছে অনুরোধ করবো, এখানে অনেক সময় এই সাঁকো মেরামত থেকে শুরু করে, তারপরে যে অনেক সময় ভেঙে গেল বস্তা ফেলাতে হয়, অনেক সময় গর্ভবতী মা আছে তাদেরকে টানা আশ্রা করে আনতে হয়, কিছু প্রতিবন্ধী আছে তাদেরকে আনতে হয় বন্যার সময়, তারপর কিছু আহ, বয়স্ক আহ, বয়স্ক মা আছে তাদেরকে আনতে হয়, বাবা আছে, গর্ভবতী মা আছে তাদেরকে আনতে হয়। এগুলো কোন সময়তে অনেক সময় নৌকা যোগে আনতে হয়। আমরা ভেলা তৈরি করি, মানে আপনি ঘুরে বোঝেন কিনা বুঝতে পারছেন তা তো আমি জানি না, কিন্তু ভেলায় করে আনি, অনেক সময় নৌকায় আনি। আমার গবাদি গরু আছে, সেটাও পার করতে হয়। এটা একটু ব্যয়বহুল কিন্তু খরচ হয় মূলত। তা আমি মনে করি যে আমরা ইউনিয়ন পর্যায়ে যেভাবে আমরা বাজেট রাখি, একটা বাজেট রাখি। অলরেডি কিন্তু বাজেট কিন্তু আমার এখানে কিন্তু দেওয়া আছে আর কি। রাস্তা মেরামতের বাজেট দেওয়া আছে, সাঁকো মেরামতের বাজেট দেওয়া আছে, প্রচার যেটা আমরা প্রচার করি বিভিন্ন মসজিদ মাদ্রাস, মসজিদ থেকে প্রচার, হাট বাজারে কিছু ওই যে চৌকিদার দিয়ে টিন দিয়ে ঢোল বাজায় শোনান। তারপরে রাতের বেলা আমরা যেটা মাইকিং যেটা করি, এখানে ত্রাণ থেকে দেওয়া আছে বাজেট। আমি অলরেডি বাজেট কিন্তু টাঙ্গাইয়ে রাখছি। এগুলো কিন্তু করি আর কি। এটা হলে দুটো 21-22-এ আছে, এবং 23-24-এ কিন্তু আমি অলরেডি একটা বাজেট করে রাখছি। অলরেডি একটা বাজেট এইভাবে একটা করে রাখছি। এই হলে মূল, এটা হলো আমার অভিজ্ঞতা থেকে আর কি আমি কাজগুলো করে আসতেছি আর কি। কিন্তু আমাদের কিছু ভলান্টিয়ার আছে, আমাদের মেম্বার মেম্বার সাহেবেরা আছেন, কিছু ইয়ং জেনারেশন ছেলে আছেন, সবাই আমাদেরকে সহযোগিতা করে। এর পরিপ্রেক্ষিতে আমরা কিছুটা হলেও চেষ্টা করি।
সুদ ভাই, একটু আমাদেরকে যদি সময় দেন, আমরা আমাদের সাথে কিছু বিদেশি অতিথি আছেন, তাদের জন্য আমরা একটু ইংলিশে ট্রান্সলেট করে দিই।
জি আবার দেখুন।
জি, ধন্যবাদ। আবার আপনার কাছ থেকে শুনবো। আতিকা আপা, আপনি জি।
Sure. If I just summarize what our panelists said is through in each union there is like community-based risk reduction, community risk assessment is done through SUFAL project. Through this CRA, some early action has been identified, and in 2022. About 18% of the annual development plan budget of that union was provisioned for specifically early action. And some early actions which include is road repair, temporary bamboo walkway, and early warning dissemination. So what our panelist mentioned is though there was like about 80% of budget for early action, it's not always sufficient, and they collect the budget sometimes from local taxation and from the local markets, and through that they also get some support from the local volunteers. And one of the things he mentioned that with SUFAL and UDMC, it means Union Disaster Management Committee, jointly taken early action in 2020 monsoon and even after in each monsoon period. And one of the significant early action was evacuation support, and especially of the livestock, which is the valuable asset to that community. And through the local police, they arranged the patrolling of those areas so the livestock can get safe, and other people who are evacuated in the some shelters can also feel safe. And one of the thing the panelist mentioned is in this year there is like about 53 household was the victim of river erosion, and what he mentioned that for as we already have the early warning in hand, especially through SUFAL there is like a voice message, so they are able to take some early action prior the flood is occurring, which is reducing the loss of life and livelihood. But if the action is taken after the flood is occurring, so the cost of tackling the hazard is actually very huge. So this is the synopsis. Over to the panelist. Thank you.
জি সুইট ভাই আবার আপনার কাছে আর যদি কিছু বলতে চান।
আমি একটা গিয়ার মিটিংয়ে জুম মিটিং।
সুইট ভাই একটু যদি বলতেন যে মানে আপনার আপনি এইটা মানে এই যে আপনারা হচ্ছে বাজেটে এই টাকাটা রাখছেন, এর জন্য কি আপনাকে কেউ কোনো প্রশ্ন করছিল যে কেন আপনারা এই টাকাটা বন্যা মানে আমরা তো নরমালি হচ্ছে যে দুর্যোগের পরে করি, দুর্যোগের আগে যে করতেছি, এটা নিয়ে কি কেউ কোনো প্রশ্ন করছিল কিনা আপনাকে ডিস্ট্রিক্ট থেকে বা উপজেলা থেকে?
না, এই ধরনের কেউ প্রশ্ন করেনি।
কোনো সমস্যা হয়েছিল কিনা?
না, কোনো সমস্যা হয়নি তো আপা।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
এটা আমি যে জিনিসটা রাখতেছি এটা তো ভালো জিনিস।
জি, আর যদি আপনার কোনো বক্তব্য থাকে আপনি বলতে পারেন।
আমার ইউনিয়নের চিত্র দেখে আমি রাখি। আমার কিন্তু সুফল কিন্তু অনেক ইয়া করে আর কি, আমাদেরকে একটু সবসময় সুফল প্রযুক্তি এবং এসকেস ফাউন্ডেশন যারা আমাদেরকে সবসময় একটু ভালো দিকটা তুলে ধরে আর কি, কোনটা কি করলে ভালো হবে না হবে, এই হলো মূলত ঘটনা।
আপনার বক্তব্য আমি থামাই দিছিলাম ভাই, আপনার যদি আর কোনো বক্তব্য থাকে আপনি শেষ করতে পারেন।
আমার তো বন্যা হয় আপা জুলাই থেকে সেপ্টেম্বর মাসে, টাকাটা আসে তো সেপ্টেম্বর পরে সরকারের পরে, কিন্তু এটা একটু আগে আসলে আমাদের জন্য একটু ভালো সুবিধা হবে আর কি। আমরা তাহলে আমাদের ক্ষতি, জানমালের ক্ষতি কম হবে, মানে অগ্রিম চাচ্ছি আমরা মূলত আর কি।
ধন্যবাদ ধন্যবাদ মোশাররফ ভাই। আতিক আপা, উড ইউ ডু দ্য লাস্ট? আর কিছু কি বলার আছে মোশাররফ ভাই, নাকি আমরা?
না, আমার ইউনিয়নটা একটা বেশি হতদরিদ্র ইউনিয়ন আপা, এবং এখানকার ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত কিন্তু অনেক লোক বেশি হয়। এখানে প্রতি বছরই কিন্তু বন্যা আসে, প্রতি বছরে বন্যা, প্রতিটা বছরের বন্যার সাথে কিন্তু আমরা যুদ্ধ করি, বন্যা বলেন খরা বলেন। এবার হঠাৎ করে কিন্তু নদী ভাঙন কিন্তু আবার 53টা পরিবার অলরেডি, 4টা পরিবার কোনো কিছু বাড়ি করতে পারেনি, এই পরিবারটি একটা সুতাও বাড়ি করতে পারেনি আমাদের মুন্সিয়াতে। এমনি পানি উন্নয়নের পর থেকে কাজ চলমান আছে, আমাদের এমপি মহোদয় এখানে অলরেডি বস্তা পাইলিং টাইলিং করা শুরু করছে অলরেডি, 2টি হচ্ছে না, কিন্তু হঠাৎ করে ডেবে গেছে, এতে ক্ষতির হারটা আমাদের অনেক বৃদ্ধি হয়েছে। আমি চাবো আপা আমার ইউনিয়নটার দিকে একটু সুদৃষ্টিতে রাখবেন এবং আগাম কিছু করার একটু চিন্তা ভাবনা করেন, পরবর্তী না করে।
অনেক ধন্যবাদ। জি, অনেক ধন্যবাদ সুইট ভাই আপনার মূল্যবান সময়ের জন্য এবং আমাদের সাথে হচ্ছে আপনার অভিজ্ঞতা শেয়ার করার জন্য। With that note, we are ending the speech from our government colleague Mosharof Sweet. He is representing the Saghata Union Parishad, which is the lower sub-district level of the country. Atika, you can do the last part of the translation and we can end this.
If I just summarize that, there was a follow-up question we asked our panelists that if he faced any challenge to meet the pre-financing provision for early action. So what he mentioned that as he made our allocation for early action based on the need of the community, so there wasn't any significant challenge faced on the administrative tier for like, you know, subnational or sub-district or upajala level. one of the thing he mentioned as a challenge and asked for a if there can be a solution, that in Bangladesh government system and financing mechanism, there is like from July to is the new financial year starts. So what actually happens is that from July to is also the monsoon season starts. So if any financial allocation is done for specifically, for example, 2022 and 2023 monsoons, 2023 fiscal year, the money is not actually allocated prior, for example, September. So they had to really struggle to take early action or any kind of action during that kind time or period. So it is very crucial for taking early action or any preparatory action for the monsoon season for the flood-prone areas, which needs strong, action or administrative counseling, which he addressed. So this is the thing in a synopsis. So over to Kazi, Rabeya.
Thank you very much, Atiqul, for the translation and the brief synopsis, giving us brief synopsis of the speech of our Mosharof Hossain Sweetpai. Thank you very much, Mosharof for being with us. I will now hand over to Atiq sir. Atiq sir will share some views of himself regarding the DM fund, I mean the disaster management fund, which is under research process. Over to you, Atiq sir.
Thank you all, dear participant. DM fund is the important fund of the disaster management system. We have discussed today about the early warning and early action system, forecast-based financing system. We have every legal support to work with forecast-based financing solution and financing system. But lack of practicing these rules and regulation are not active properly. Disaster Management Rule 2021 formed with the support of the Disaster Management Act 2012. There are 64 district funds and one is central fund. Central fund is the chair of the secretary, Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, and another joint secretary of the MODMR with the member secretary of this Central Disaster Management Fund Committee. At district level, Deputy Commissioner and district commissioner is the chair of this committee, and District Relief and Rehabilitation Officer is the member secretary of this committee. During my tenure of the DGDDM, I have formed and I have opening the 65 accounts, 64 in district level, one is central level is opened in various bank and at district level and central level. According to the rule, the fund will collect at the local level fund, INGO fund, international fund, UN fund. Also, the government can participate with this fund. A study is going under SUFAL project to explore the current state of DM fund with the purpose to utilize the fund for anticipatory action. DM fund rule have been designed with the provision of public-private partnership. I have already mentioned that in DM fund, public throughout the people, all corner of people, all professionals or professional organizations or any other NGO, INGO and other institution will participate, will donate this DM fund. including donation from wealthy individuals, collaboration with the various associations and organizations also contribute of this, can contribute the fund. But operation of this fund, we have the study of the SUFAL project as to the current state of DF fund. We find that the most of the committee will not properly active, or awareness, lack of awareness of the member of this committee. Both of the disaster management committee at the district level, sub-district level, and union level and ward level, they are not aware of, about the this DM fund, DM Act, DM rule. These are not aware of this thing. For these regions, they are not interested to contribute their fund. Some legal obligation is here. This is the bindings of the rule, DM rule 2021. If the money of the fiscal year is unspent, this money have to mandatory provision to surrender at the government fund, government treasury. This is this is how they are not interested. The local people of this district are not interested to contribute the fund or donate the money to this account if their money will go to the central government. This is why we have effort to raise funds locally and impeded the lack of understanding and communication regarding the rules. We have already mentioned the rules. They are not people aware of this rule, and they are not about how to prepare the project at union level at its local demand, and how they send to Upazila sub-district disaster management committee, and they forwarded to district disaster management committee for the approval of this project. This is the main lackings of this practicing this law and rules. Disaster Management Act 2012 and Disaster Management Fund Rule at 2021. We have like to say this existing status of the Disaster Management Fund. We have addressed about some precaution measures. We have some how to activate the Disaster Management Fund Committee and district level, as well as District Disaster Management Committee, Sub-District Disaster Management Committee, Union Disaster Management Committee, also Ward Disaster Management Committee, including the Purosabha Committee, Municipality Committee of the Disaster Management Committee, City Corporation Disaster Management Committee, including all. If we have aware all corner of people, all corner of DM members, DM committee member, DMC members, near about in Bangladesh 9,70,000, near about 1 million DMC members of the country. If we are addressed these all the members and we have trained, we have aware of this DMC member, I should like to say it is the vigorous action, and we have to positive action, positive impact on for the fund raise of Disaster Management Fund. We have trained our people for their capacity building of the Disaster Management Committee, Disaster Management DM Fund Management Committee. We have their they have carried out their our training program, and we have built their capacity, and we have they have contact us, align us with our normal traditional training program out of track with the help of NGO, local NGO, INGO, UN organization, and other institution. If we try to coordinate all the members of DM Fund Committee or DMC members, then it is very effective for us. If we are awareness of the local wealthy people, local other organization, professional organization, local industry, local rich people, and other organization who can contribute this fund. And it is the important factor that we need one member will says that the flood shelter, lack of flood shelter is the essential of this level. I would like to say flood shelter is necessary, but we are our government and MODMR and other ministry also established the flood shelter, and this is the modern flood shelter. They have the disabled friendly, women friendly, all other facilities is here. This is the for your our participants consideration. This is government program already established. Another important thing is the transparency of this fund. If there is a money, this is the question of transparency. We should like to say everyone at the field level seeks the transparency of this fund. If we have established the transparency, we have shown the fund management committee's transparency, we have properly handled our project, we have properly select the project at the basic need, then this fund will help in multi-sectoral view of anticipatory action and forecast-based financing system. This is the preliminary, this is the very much important for forecast-based financing system. Central government allocated money is take time and distributed to the root level. If the fund is the deputy commissioner fund is district level, they can allocate it within hour or a couple of hours. It will be sent to sub-district level, and sub-district administration will allocate the respective union parishad and others. So we are trying to fund. We have mobilized our local resources. Also, we have awarded our people, trained our people. Then it can possible to align with anticipatory action forecast-based financing system with DM fund. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind remarks and for giving us a short brief of the DM fund status in our country. So I'll now go back to our audience. We will be ending our session shortly. So if you have any question for our panelists, Mosharof and Atiqul Hafsar, please unmute yourself and come up with your question. We only have 2 minutes in our hand. Sorry. If you don't have any question, we will go to reflection again. So we will have the Mentimeter link again. And it's time for reflection. You can see the slide for reflection here. Please let us know your reflection by clicking the Mentimeter link. Colleagues, are you being able to access the Mentimeter? I can't see anyone reflecting. Can anyone have the access to the Mentimeter? Yes. জি সিদ ভাই
আমি একটা কথা বলতে চাচ্ছি আর কি।
জি সিদ ভাই আমরা একদমই শেষ পর্যায়ে চলে আসছি
এক মিনিটে একটা কথা বলতে চাচ্ছি।
জি জি
আমার একটা বন্যা এলাকা, তো এই এলাকাটা একটা ফ্ল্যাট সেন্টার করা যায় নাকি একটা সাইকেলের, এটা একটা দাবি করতেছি।
জি এটা আমরা গভর্নমেন্টের সাথে কথা বলবো। ধন্যবাদ। কারো যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন না থাকে, it's time for reflection. Anyone, if you want to reflect on the slide, the Mentimeter link is here. If anyone wants to reflect, please share your reflection here. And our next part is which part, how you will rate today's session. So I can see people has rate today's session as 4 and 5. So with this note, you can see that we have the instruments, the laws, the acts in our hand. Also, the fund is readily available. Just we have to do, what we have to do is link this and the proper advocacy with the government for ensuring the financing of anticipatory action. With this note, I will end today's session here. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating. And still, if you want to share one word of reflection, you have the chat box with you. You can share your reflection in the chat box. Thank you, everyone. See you someday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.